Early April 2025, Belgorod border, Russia. A stretch of land, so hauntingly silent, it felt like time had stopped. No wind, no birds, no distant echo of artillery. Just a thick, unnatural silence, the kind that presses down on your chest, makes your skin itch, makes your instincts whisper, something's wrong. It was here, in the shadow of Krasnorushsky Forest, that the 141st Ukrainian Infantry Brigade vanished. 6 battalions, nearly 2,000 soldiers, armed to the teeth, equipped with night vision, drones, encrypted comms, highly trained, highly disciplined, and just like that, gone. No gunfire, no mayday, no explosion, no sign of conflict. Military command lost contact with the unit at 0926 hours. Radio channels dead. Drones offline. SATCOM interference. The entire brigade had been active just minutes before, crossing the border in coordinated formation. Standard infiltration protocol. Then, nothing. Recon teams were sent, one after another, special forces, elite scouts. None returned. By evening, satellite scans revealed something even stranger. The terrain, untouched. No craters, no tire tracks, no footprints, not even heat signatures, like they'd marched into thin air. The official explanation: MIA, missing in action. The internal military term: ghost status. But the ones who study this kind of thing, the deep black analysts, the psychological warfare units, the ones who chase shadows across continents, they used another word: erased, wiped, scrubbed, not just removed from battle, but from reality. Whispers spread through encrypted forms and classified reports. Some said it was the work of Russian experimental weapons, an electromagnetic disruptor, a clean sweep system that could disable, disorient, and disintegrate. Others, more unnerved, suggested something far worse. They pointed to the patterns, strange electromagnetic readings days before the event, animals fleeing the Krasnorushsky woods, flickers of light, untraceable, on infrared. And then there were the accounts: local farmers, Russian border guards, even a NATO satellite technician. They spoke, off record, of something they couldn't explain, a glitch in the landscape, like the ground itself rippled, then returned to normal, a hum in the air, low, like an old machine powering up. One guard swore he saw something in the forest. He described it as a wall of air that shimmered and devoured the men who walked into it. Of course, that testimony never made it to the press. The Ukrainian government, silent. No official mourning, no press conference, just a one-line acknowledgement. The 141st Brigade has been reassigned, but reassigned to where? Rumors began to swirl. Some claimed the unit stumbled into a Russian ambush. Others believed they were consumed by North Korean special forces operating deep in Russian territory. A ghost unit never officially acknowledged. Killers so fast, so precise, they leave nothing behind. And then there were the darker theories that the 141st didn't fall victim to war, but to something else. Something not human, not from this world, or maybe from beneath it. Those who whisper in the halls of intelligence agencies, they've seen similar cases. Smaller scale, squads gone missing, tunnels sealed shut, time stamps out of sync, but never a whole brigade. Until now. The 141st walked into Belgorod. They were seen, tracked, logged, and then erased. And whatever took them, it's still there, waiting. April 4th, 2025, 48 hours after the disappearance, a new team was sent in. Call sign Alpha 3, 6 men. Hand-picked, veterans of the Eastern Front, with clearance levels deep enough to see what doesn't officially exist. They weren't told everything, just that a Ukrainian brigade had gone dark and that possible experimental tech was suspected. But from the moment they crossed into Krasnoruchsky Forest, something felt wrong. It wasn't just the silence or the way their gear buzzed faintly without explanation. It was the forest itself. The trees were too straight, too still. The shadows moved wrong. Captain Nathan Keller, team lead, noticed it first. His compass spun erratically. The map, outdated by 2 days, no longer matched the terrain. Keep eyes sharp, weapons hot, he whispered over comms. By hour 3, the air had turned thick, heavy. Every breath felt like inhaling static. Then, they found it. A trail. Faint, boot prints, 6-man formation, standard NATO spacing, Ukrainian pattern. The trail ran deeper into the woods. But there were no signs of struggle, no drag marks, no blood, no expended rounds. Just a path, worn down like 100 men had walked it, and none had ever come back. Keller radioed command. No response. The signal had vanished. They pressed on. And then, at 16:04 hours, the forest ended, abruptly. Not a clearing, a wall, not stone, not steel, just air, thick, shimmering, like the surface of a lake under moonlight. Keller reached out, touched it. His glove pushed against something solid, but his hand went straight through. When he pulled back, the glove was gone, the stump of his wrist untouched. No blood, no pain, just missing. He didn't scream, didn't flinch, only stared, frozen. That's when the hum began. Low, mechanical, but not quite. The ground trembled subtly, like something beneath was breathing. Private Lance Donovan, youngest in the squad, backed away. He turned to speak, and then disappeared. No flash, no sound. One blink, and he was gone. They scattered, weapons drawn, eyes darting. Sergeant Marcus Reed fired into the air. The recoil snapped him back, but the bullet never landed, never echoed. Silence devoured everything. "Fall back," Keller shouted, but the forest had changed. The path behind them twisted, now uphill, now sloped sideways. Trees, moving. Or maybe the men were. Nothing made sense anymore. 2 more vanished. No noise, no struggle. Just empty air where they once stood. By nightfall, only Keller and his radio man, Victor Banks, remained. They took shelter in a small clearing, lit no fire, spoke no words. And that's when they heard it. Footsteps, crunching leaves, measured, deliberate, moving in a wide circle around them. Keller raised his rifle. The footsteps stopped. "Identify yourself," he called. No response. Then, from the darkness, a voice, quiet, wrong, like a person learning how to speak human. "You should not be here." Banks turned on his flashlight and froze. It was Donovan, but not him. Same face, same uniform, but the eyes, completely black. No whites, no irises, just reflection, like mirrors. "Captain," Banks whispered, "that's not him." Keller aimed, fired. The figure didn't flinch. The bullet passed through its head, like it was made of smoke, and then it was gone. No sound, no sign, just whispers. Thousands of voices, in a language that was older than language. They rose like a wave, then fell silent, and in the silence came realization. This wasn't just about war, or weapons, or missing soldiers. This forest was alive, and it had seen them, marked them. The missing brigade? Maybe they were still here, Not dead, just repurposed. The 141st didn't vanish. They were claimed. April 5th, 2025, 3:12 a.m. Captain Keller hadn't slept, couldn't. Neither had Victor Banks. They were too busy listening to the forest breathe. They'd found shelter in the hollow of a collapsed pine, but the air hadn't stopped humming, like something massive moving just beneath their world. Then, out of the blackness, a voice, low, mechanical, almost human. "We see you." Banks gripped his rifle. Keller said nothing. The voice didn't echo. It didn't come from the trees or the sky, but from inside them. And that's when they saw the lights. Not flashlights, not flares, but orbs. 3 of them, floating silently between the trees, each the size of a human head, glowing white-blue like frozen lightning. No heat, no sound, just perfect intelligent motion. Keller raised his NVGs. The orbs disappeared. He pulled the goggles down. They were back. "What are they?" Banks whispered. Keller didn't know. No one would believe them anyway. "But you're watching this right now, so tell me." What do you think those lights were? Drones? Alien probes? Or something older than we've ever imagined? Let me know down in the comments. We read them all because we're trying to make sense of the senseless. But this was just the beginning. As dawn approached, Keller and Banks decided to head south, hoping to find higher ground for signal. What they found instead froze them in place. A field, no trees, just frost-covered grass stretching out like a white carpet. And in the center, a soldier, Ukrainian uniform, helmet cracked, blood dried into his collar. He was sitting cross-legged, eyes wide open, mouth frozen mid-scream. But what chilled Keller wasn't the body. It was the way the frost formed around him, perfect concentric circles, as if the world itself had tried to avoid touching him. Banks knelt beside the man. His name tag read, S. Kravchenko, one of the 141st. "Check his pulse," Keller said. Banks reached out, then recoiled. The man blinked. "Alive. Jesus, he's alive," Banks said. Kravchenko's mouth moved. No sound, just air. Keller leaned in. "Behind the glass," Kravchenko whispered. "They're watching." Behind the glass. "What's behind the glass?" Keller asked, but the soldier didn't answer. His eyes rolled upward, and he collapsed. Keller checked his pulse again. Gone. He'd said too much. Now here's a question for you. Do you think Kravchenko ever really escaped the forest's grip? Or was he just a messenger used by something else? Smash that like button if this is blowing your mind. And if you're still watching, you're one of us now. So hit subscribe. Because this story, it only gets darker. Back to the forest. Keller stood slowly. "Banks, we need to go. Now." But Banks didn't move. He was staring. At the trees. At the figures between them. Not soldiers. Not animals. Silhouettes. Vague human-shaped forms. Stretched unnaturally tall. No features. No face. Just long limbs. And heads that tilted when they realized they'd been seen. "Captain," Banks murmured, "I think we're inside a test." Then, the sun blinked. Not clouds, not eclipse. It just blinked. Once. And the world around them shuddered. Have you ever seen reality twitch? Have you ever felt like you're being watched from behind your own eyes? That's how it felt. Like something was learning them, recording them. And for the first time, Keller didn't think they'd be allowed to leave. As they turned to run, the orbs reappeared. April 5th, 2025, 4:01 a.m. Captain Keller ran, not toward help, but away from whatever had taken Banks. He didn't scream, didn't call out, because deep down, he knew no one would answer. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what would you do if your world blinked? If the sun stuttered? If the air twitched like muscle under skin? Would you run? Or would you stop and listen? Let us know in the comments, because Keller didn't get the chance to choose. He reached a tree line thick with mist. Every step felt slower, like time was thick. Ahead he saw movement, not shadows. People, soldiers in Ukrainian uniforms. Banks, Keller whispered, but when he stepped closer, he saw their faces. Blank. No eyes, no mouths, just smooth skin stretched over skulls, like masks left unfinished. Yet they moved, breathed, and, as one, they turned toward him. No words, just a sound. Glass. Breaking. It wasn't from around him, it was from inside his ears. And just like that, he was somewhere else. No trees, no soldiers, just white. An infinite glowing void, the kind of emptiness that felt intentional. And in the center, a single mirror, old, cracked, leaning against nothing. In it, he saw himself, tired, broken. But behind him, something else. Tell me, viewer, do you believe mirrors are just reflections, or are they windows? Because what Keller saw was not his world. It was the field again, the body of Kravchenko, the frost, time, rewound. And then it happened. The Keller in the mirror smiled. But Keller wasn't smiling. That was when he realized he was the reflection. That was not his world anymore. He pounded against the glass, screamed, but no sound came. The world on the other side moved on. Without him. At this point in the video, stop and think. What if your reflection was learning from you? What if it decided to take your place? Drop your theory in the comments. Let's see who has the guts to go the deepest. And hey, if you're enjoying the descent so far, hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe if you're brave enough to follow Keller's path. Suddenly, the mirror cracked, not from Keller's side, but from outside. Through the fracture, a face leaned in. It was Banks, but his eyes, they weren't his. Too dark, too wide. Captain, he whispered, voice warping, they're letting us wear the world now. The glass shattered. Keller fell forward, landing in dirt. Real dirt. The forest again. The sky was pink. Dawn. Had it all been a vision, a manipulation, or a replacement? He stood up slowly, looked around. No signs of Banks. No mirror. Just trees whispering in a tongue he didn't understand. And then his comm crackled. Static. Then a voice. This is Recon Unit Echo 3. We found survivors near the burn zone. They're not right. Keller raised the mic. This is Captain Keller. I'm en route. Stay put. But deep down, he knew. He wasn't going to a rescue. He was walking into something older, something watching from behind the glass. And now, maybe, watching through him. So what do you think is happening to Captain Keller? Has he been replaced? Or is he still himself? Comment your theory below. We might feature it in the next episode. Smash like if you're loving the series so far. And subscribe, because this rabbit hole gets deeper from here. April 6th, 2025, 3:22 a.m. They called it the Black Zone, a 2-mile radius where everything, birds, radios, satellites, even light, refused to go. Some said it was electromagnetic. Others blamed advanced Russian jamming tech. But Keller, he knew better. He reached the outer perimeter just before dawn, The trees here weren't right. Their bark was too smooth, like they'd been remade by something that had seen trees, but never touched one. No birds, no bugs, he muttered. Even silence sounds wrong. Behind him, Corporal Reyes radioed in. Sir, movement detected in Grid 7, but the drone feed just cut. Visual contact? Nothing, sir. It's like it blinked out. Keller didn't respond, because that's when he heard it. A sound that didn't belong. Not wind, not boots. It was breathing. Not human. Not animal. Like the forest itself had lungs. Quick question for you, viewer. What would you do if a whole place seemed to breathe around you? Would you enter? Comment your instinct. Be honest. We want to see how many of you would go forward and how many would run. Keller stepped into the zone, and instantly his comms went dead. No static, no hum, just void. He moved cautiously, rifle raised. The trees grew denser, closing in behind him like a closing jaw. Then he saw it. A body, twisted, mangled, face frozen in a silent scream. But this wasn't one of his men. It was wearing a Russian uniform. Eyes gone, mouth sealed shut, carved into the chest. A spiral symbol Keller had seen before. Once, in a dream. A rustle behind him. He turned, finger on trigger, but nothing was there. Just shadows that didn't match the trees. He pressed forward. Another body, Ukrainian this time, then another, then a trail, leading deeper into the fog, into something waiting. Suddenly, a flare shot up. Green. The signal for compromised command. Keller broke into a sprint. The flare came from Echo 3. As he approached the clearing, he slowed. What he saw was impossible. The men of Echo 3 stood in a perfect circle, motionless. In the center, a mirror, shattered, but somehow, still, reflecting. What the hell? Keller whispered. One of the soldiers turned. Captain, he said, only it wasn't his voice. Too calm, too deep, too familiar. You open the gate, the man said. What gate? To us. Viewers, what do you think the mirror really is? A portal, a prison, or something older than both? Comment your theory below. We read every one. And if this series has your mind spinning, smash that like button and subscribe for the next episode. You won't believe what's coming next. The circle broke. The soldiers all turned to face Keller, each with eyes glowing faintly, each whispering in perfect sync. We will wear the world. Keller raised his rifle. His hand trembled, and in the shards of broken glass beneath his boots, he saw himself, smiling. But his face wasn't smiling. The Things That Speak in Silence. April 6th, 2025, 4:12 a.m. Keller ran through the fog, through the trees, through the echoes of voices that weren't there. Behind him, the whispers grew louder, not in volume, but in presence. They weren't just sounds. They were inside him, like memories that didn't belong. He collapsed near a fallen birch tree, heart pounding, lungs burning, his hand still clutching the mirror shard. And in it, his reflection blinked twice, but he hadn't. What are you? He gasped aloud. What are you? No one answered, not at first. But then, a whisper right behind his ear. You know us. You've always known. He turned. Nothing. But something was changing. The trees looked different, not because they had moved, but because he had. His vision sharpened. His hearing too. Every breath of wind sounded like words. Every shadow held meaning. He was seeing it now. The truth. The forest wasn't haunted. It was inhabited. By them. By the ones who wore moments like skin. Question for you, viewer. What would you do if you started seeing things others couldn't? Would you tell someone or keep it secret, afraid of what it meant? Share your answer in the comments. We're reading them all. Keller made it back to the edge of the zone. Reyes was waiting, her eyes wild, her rifle shaking. "Captain, what's happening in there?" Keller didn't answer right away, because now he wasn't sure he could. What do you say when your mind no longer feels like yours? What do you say when you're not sure what part of you is you? He looked down. The mirror shard had sliced his palm. Blood trickled out, and beneath it, a symbol, the same spiral carved into the bodies, the same one he saw on the tree, on the soldier's chest. In the dream, he couldn't shake. It was growing. "What is this place?" Reyes whispered. "I don't know," Keller said finally, "but it doesn't want us to leave." He looked at her. "I think it wants to come with us." Viewer challenge. If you found a symbol growing on your skin, would you hide it or show someone? Would you be afraid of what it meant? Or curious? Type hide or show in the comments and explain why. Back at the field camp, communications began to return. Sort of. Messages came in, but they weren't from their team. The codes were wrong. The timestamps. Impossible. One message read, Echo 3 reporting. "We are safe. Still at staging zone, preparing to cross." But Echo 3 had crossed 16 hours ago. Keller had seen their bodies. Or had he? He stared at the message, at the symbol at the end of the line. The spiral. Same one on his palm. Same one in the mirror. Same one now. Burned into his thoughts. And that's when he realized they weren't just mimicking voices. They were learning. They were rehearsing. Soon, they wouldn't need the forest. If this gave you chills, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, share it, and if you haven't already, subscribe for the next drop. The Edge of the Unknown. April 7th, 2025. Dawn. The sun rose over Belgorod, but it didn't feel like morning. It felt like a reset, like reality itself had blinked. And in that blink, something changed. Keller stood at the tree line, his hand wrapped in gauze, but he could still feel the burn of the spiral beneath it, not just on his skin, but deeper in his thoughts, his dreams, in his sense of self. Behind him, Reyes monitored the last of the radio signals. All scrambled, all wrong. Echoes of conversations that had never happened, or hadn't happened. Yet, they were being observed, not just watched, studied, replicated, like rats in a maze. Only the maze was time. Keller gathered what was left of the team. 8 survivors, all different, not because of what they'd seen, but because of what had seen them. "Listen to me," Keller said, his voice low but clear. "We've been through hell. We've lost people. We've lost control. And maybe we've lost the right to say we understand anything at all." He paused. "But this, whatever it is, knows us. It has studied every move, every breath, every moment. But here's the thing. It doesn't know one thing." He looked at them, one by one. "It doesn't know what we're willing to do to protect this world. Because we're not just soldiers. We're the firewall." Question for you, viewer. If you had the chance to destroy a force beyond human understanding, knowing it might cost you your life, would you do it? Type yes or no in the comments. Let's see what kind of warriors are watching. Keller held up the detonator. It was connected to a chain buried deep in the forest floor. "I don't know if this will end it," he said, "but maybe." It will slow them down. He pressed it. A distant rumble, a tremor in the ground. The trees cracked, the ground split, and fire burst from the earth like the breath of a sleeping god. Reyes covered his eyes. "Do you think it will work?" Keller didn't answer. He was staring at the sky, at something hovering above the smoke, barely visible, like a crack in the fabric of the world, like something trying to look back. He turned to Reyes. "It's not over yet, not even close," because deep down inside, he knew the Watchers weren't destroyed. They were just delayed. They learned. And what about next time? They won't just watch. They'll come. And when they come, they'll look like us. Did you like what you just heard? Then hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for the end. The lesson we take away. This isn't just a story. This is a warning. There are wars we fight with weapons, and wars we fight with truth. The disappearance of the 141st wasn't just about soldiers lost to time. It was about the fragility of what we call reality, a reminder that even in the most high-tech battlefield, there are forces older than fear and smarter than us. The Watchers didn't just erase a brigade, they sent a message. You are not alone, and you are not in control. But here's the twist. In every moment of dread, we have a choice: to freeze, to forget, or to face it. Keller and his team chose to face it, not because they had all the answers, but because they couldn't afford to let someone else open the next door. In a world full of shadows, sometimes the bravest act is lighting a match. In today's world, saturated with surveillance, information overload, and questions without answers, the Watchers can be a metaphor. They are the unseen systems that control more than we realize. The algorithms, the ideologies, the things that watch you while you sleep. This story asks, what are you allowing to shape your mind? Who's programming your reality? It's not about paranoia, it's about awareness. In 2025, we don't need alien tech to be manipulated, just silence. So speak, question, investigate, because the moment we stop watching back is the moment we disappear too. Comment below. What do you think really happened to the 141st? Paranormal, psychological warfare, a classified weapon, or something else? Let's hear your theories. Down